The new patch has started to hit the live servers, and while it does not take that big of a swings, there are quite few notable changes that might induce meta shifts. My name is Boris, and before our today's VOD review, let's quickly look at some of the main changes in the patch that I have summarized. Now, I won't be going through exactly these main buffs and nerfs, but you can check them out yourselves. Going to be more focusing on the implications. And the big system changes that we should note are the psionic items got a rework. In general, they should be more flexible. I'll put them on screen now how the changes are going to be looking like. This should offer a possibility to be playing for the psionic from multiple spots. And another big one is the arbiter offerings now follow the following category, where for your cause you're going to be divided in 3 buckets of consistent, conditional, and economy one, as well as your effects are going to be labeled into offensive, defensive, and econ options. There are a few options that fall under these categories. I believe each of them has at least a couple, and some got taken out. Simply put in your arbiter as usual, check what you get. This should be more consistent. You should be able to find something that follows the line you want to be playing into. Big implication should be that I believe Xayah is going to be the most popular gump coming out of the gates. Even though the top serpents did receive a little bit of a chip that were not included into the patch rundown, Xayah received a single target buff, which was her weak point, and this is going to be your top hot comp in the meta, so I perhaps would stay away from it right from the get-go. Another one that has seen a lot of success already towards the end of the patch is this MF reroll and tempo options, either around the Ornn as your main tank in the reroll variant, or as a 4 brawler going to level 8 and finishing your 3 stars on there around Kindred as well. And on top of this, Challenger also received the buff at 3 breakpoint, therefore something like a Diana reroll and with the Aurora buffs could definitely see more play. I believe that Corki should still be a good from tempo spots. Now, from the game that I have watched, it does seem quite a bit weaker due to his AD ratios being nerfed, but the big thing is that Ramos did not receive a nerf, therefore I believe the comp should be still quite viable. Whereas for something like Master Yi, his top cap got nerfed, his best augments got nerfed. I do not think this comp is going to be that great, especially since the psionic items, the ones that truly enabled him, have gotten a little bit less power due to paying for the flexibility component. Nami received a buff, should be casting a little bit more frequently now, therefore maybe we are going to be seeing the AP flex coming into the meta. But the big winners here are some of the 2-cost rerolls. I believe that Jinx Akali Belvet Jax reroll, even though Jax is no longer going to get that damage reduction scaling through AP, could see some light of play as a niche comp from the high roll spots. However, Vanguard Zoe should definitely be a 2-cost reroll comp to be explored. Zoe receiving that single target damage buff already was quite strong before if you're able to hit early. Now perhaps you have a little bit more leeway in that part. Whereas Gnar has received a buff again into his attack speed. Now, with his top cap being perhaps less contested, maybe we're going to see some Gnar reroll. I put a question mark there since I'm not sure, but I would like to see that happen. Mentioning these 2-cost rerolls all receiving buffs, Exalted Adventure also received a buff in its payout. Definitely an augment that I'm looking forward to clicking myself, since I like some 2-cost reroll, and this was already quite good to get off your top contested meta lines. Definitely can secure you now those top 3 placements. Otherwise, the cap of Fast 9 got nerfed, however Graves is going to be a little bit better coming online early on. Perhaps maybe this Shepherd Vanguard version with the Bard and Sona duo carry is going to see a little bit more play. Vex did not get touched, Fiora is the one that got affected, so perhaps some way of how we cap around that is going to change a little bit. Lulu should be less consistent, her mountain stun duration got reduced, as well as Serpent getting a little bit of an extra hit, and most notably anything that runs a 6 Darkstar cap is having their cap reduced through the bonus stats reduction and the HP reduction, particularly affecting something like the Darkstar emblem ASOL is going to be a lot less stable going into your stage 4. As usual, I'm going to have the summary in the link down below, where I also have the access to all my cheat sheets that I've made. Looking forward to making some new ones coming into the next patch. And let's jump in our VOD review. For our VOD review, we are going to be jumping in game on the new patch with Riri, as it has already hit the Japanese region. We are playing in the Scouting Party, which offers an extra augment reroll. And let's see how he manages to approach the line and what other lines we might be seeing as we go through the game. Starting out with a bow opener, you might probably immediately be thinking of Xayah and sees the Twisted Fair pair, so we're going to be slotting in that. But if we get offered a potential to divert from this line, that would be at least my game plan, as I believe a lot of players are going to be hard contesting it from quite suboptimal spots, as we already knew with the Quirky Ribbon in the last patch. Now, some of the Stargazers, as I mentioned, did get nerfs, but nonetheless, I would believe this to be the fries in the bag comp going into it. We are picking up 4 copies of Veigar and a pair of Poppy already as well, but unfortunately do not have those AP items. Veigar really needs that Nashers plus JG combo to succeed, but on the flip side, at least maybe the Rammus cap might be a little more accessible. Coming up here, Heart of Steel is Nogma that also got buffed, but we do not have an upgraded frontliner or a slam to pair with it to really get it stacking. Frontline Foundation could give us some direction, but we kinda already have it if we wanted to perhaps be playing around these Stargazers or something around this Veigar into some form of an AP line. 2 tanky is an interesting option if we wanted to pick it. We kinda have that possibility to be playing around it already, but then that would probably most likely lead us into the Samira comp. I would perhaps default the Frontline Foundation here myself as a possibility. Portable Forge again could provide us with some direction. We see there's some Primordial players. This is one of the best comps to be playing this into, other than the Quirky Ribbon from the last patch. Electro Charge in your strong frontline pumps. Replication for that tempo possibility. But he's going to be going with the 2 tanky, using the chance to get away from the contested line. And we have quite some of these pairs that we could be considering playing around right away. Opts to go for a double Talon, as a Talon is an early game beast, and having that extra HP on him definitely can make him a menace around, and it's going to be simply a nicer transition with the possibility of the Stargazers into the Samira, as she does play 3 Stargazer herself. But nonetheless, we queue into this Primordial player with upgraded Belvet and the with upgraded Rek'Sai and Briar. Therefore, we're going to take a loss and now going to start look possibility to make our recon thresholds quite heavily. And our slams more lean into this AD direction, therefore also it's easier to hold on to this Talon rather than the Veigar himself, to have a possibility for a completed item and something like a Spear of Shojin, which Samira likes, Talon likes very much as well, making him a 2 auto attack caster. Into a what seems to be another Primordial player with some of these timebreakers, but his Talon ticks. We did get to the backline early, we're able to secure a win, so it looks like we're going to be coming off a potential maybe a mixed streak spot. Slotting into Rogue now should be a big benefit though, allowing us to drop the aggro as well. And the Poppy too definitely should, even without Bastion, should be enough to buy quite a bit of time for us to be bouncing around. Another player who's playing around some possibility of Timebreaker and the Primordial has the Heroic Grab Bag, which did get its gold increased by 1. Possibility, well, more than likely playing into some form of a reroll. Just not exactly sure what they might be leaning into from this kind of an opener. Perhaps something like an MF comp, but the Stone Plate there would be the possibility. For our God Offerings, this is a 2-star 2 cost, could provide us some econ. And the Yasuo Hex, I'm not gonna exactly pretend like I know what it is, which one this one is. Cannot decipher from, I believe it's 1 hex, 10% gain something. No, it's that should be 35 HP. So this would be the HP scaling hex, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So we should be picking that up and picking up a brawler that fits into our comp as well. And we find that Samira early on. Samira is a strong early game unit, definitely, as well as being able to make the DB one of her prominent items. So could be considering possibility of slotting that in right away as well, giving us a slam, especially since we're coming off this 2 streak, something to consider. There's a player with a Nova emblem, definitely with the Nova buffs received, Nova with around an emblem, some form of vertical should be more stable as it is. Especially the Kindred, that Kindred's mod receiving a buff should make her a more prominent Nova selector option. However, I still believe that the emblem might be the strongest option, especially once you're able to get to something like the Graves cap. So I would still be playing this comp more into your fast 9 options, but does not seem that the player succeeds to be playing from that strong of a tempo spot, as we were able to pick up a win. And now into a dark, okay, they're playing Birthday Reunion, so that we're not going to be seeing a Zoe reroll into this game, unfortunately. I would definitely excited to see how that comp fares, as Zoe was already considered to be quite strong as a possibility in those niche spots. And now with increased single target damage, should definitely be able to deal with some of the chunkier tanks into the meta. Doing a pre-level here, and we're immediately paid off play that we were not exactly necessary to go for, but we're still able to make 40 and get the Samira pair rolling for ourselves. And this pretty much gives us a green light that, yeah, we are definitely playing this kind of a comp. And let's see how he maps it out. This would be our core to be playing around this Maokai Orn that also received a little HP buff, so it should be more prominent in the early stages of the game. And we pick up a Last Whisper, but since we're going to be playing the Aatrox, do not really need to be making that. This glove should be our first prio to be transitioning into an Affinity Edge. Definitely a comp that can use a lot of swords. Now we can see he's pulling up the TFT Academy to check out the comp. Going to be going with a red buff instead. That's a nice way for us to kill off these swords. And swords our anti-heal out quite neatly. Now he's checking we're going with the Jax, Nunu, and Zaya. That is the standard build that you would be expecting to see. And now I would ideally be possibly looking for some form of an item option to either continue our tempo, since with 2 tanky our board is not that shabby, or otherwise an econ option could be great. Something like an honor roll that gets offered for us here be quite good. Find your center is something that we would not gain value since we have the Yasuo Hex already placed down, and he seems to just default on the roll here. Strong combat options offered there through Focus Fire and Twin Guardians, but on the roll is simply ourselves an econ that is absolutely amazing, and we're able to pick up the Samira too. Now, does pay us a little bit of a damage tax here making this 2-star. This is why sometimes during your 2 tanky roll downs you want to be going for at least another copy, but it's quite hard to dig here on the 6. Just going to utilize our free roll and able to find an early Tom Kench, which is absolutely amazing. We're going to be definitely able to at least cash him out once during this stage, and hopefully the Samira is enough. We are a little suffering on the knock-up side to get the Samira rolling right now, but Samira 2 nonetheless with 2 items is very strong in these stages of the game. And our win streak has been continuing. This all comes from the good setup, the identification of how Talon is going to easily be able to hold our items onto the early game, playing around him, and then finding these Samiras through, also specifically in a way through this pre-level, right? That enabled us to pick up that Samira pair, play that a lot of players might miss, and these are the minor things that give the top players the edge. And we can see that some players are more focused on some sort of set lines into the meta at the moment, therefore you're able to also easier go on these win streaks as people are still figuring the best early and mid-game boards for the new lines opening up. Coming up on the next offering, this would be, I believe, the Cryo Hex right here, and this would be 3-star 1 cost. Now, going to be going with the Cryo Hex, this comp absolutely is amazing if you're able to get multiple frontline unit presence, and I would be looking at some possibility of frontline item, therefore it seems like the Crown Guard should be the option. Considered a strong item all around, and we have the possibility to be playing the 2 tanky Tom Kench here, going to be giving up on this Poppy. We have these brawlers, yeah, and this is definitely going to be a lot of HP for anyone to chew through in this stage of the game. Placing our hexes separately, I'm not sure if he has pulled up the Stargazer constellation that is present for us in our game, as you ideally are playing the Samira plus the 3 Stargazers plus one of your tanks at the 2 tanky. That should make you, that should make you 7 units on your level 7. To Prince ourselves a Maokai too, so we're definitely very stable. Can delay this level 7 all the way to our start of stage 4, and then utilize these extra lives to be capturing our board throughout slow rolling on stage 4. A very good spot to put yourself when you are playing with the 3-cost reroll. This is one of the downsides with the 2 tanky. You definitely want to be taking it from a spot where you're able to capitalize it on the early game, else you simply have to hard stabilize, and that can become quite costly for you. And generally with 3-cost reroll, it's hard to pull off unless the comp is extremely strong into the meta, where it is quite stable on the 2 stars. But the more the meta leans into fast 8 boards, the more 2-star 4-costs are coming online on stage 4, and you're going to be bleeding to them. Simply should pump here. Yeah, we do get the pump here, and going to be probably rolling down. If we find a Tom Kench too, that would be interesting pickup to do so on level 7, but it's not that improbable. Find a single Nunu as well, so that we're definitely hitting our shops quite well throughout this. Now haven't found a Zaya yet, so going to be digging here a bit. This should be still very strong. We have the Shred and Sunder sorted out through the Aatrox slotting in here. But we are going to be rolling here with this Tomkench. Since we were later on the swap going to be swapping the Stone Plate there on the Corki side, but this is a level 4-1 Corki hunted down with the Rammus 2. Simply is going to be too much power. Unfortunately, our streak is going to be coming to an end. And for last option here, we will be ideally simply looking for items. We want to be completing a 3-item tank first. Therefore, the big grab bag here is the best option. Malicious for our hard stabilization, healing orbs for your more melee comp solo. Frontline comps Kahuna got a nerf, but still has really only 2 comps to be playing into. So with a Yi falling out of favor, this augment is going to be skipped a lot of times. Duo Q, if you need a little on items, acceleration for something like a LeBlanc could be quite decent. In Exiles, we are going to be having a tough time positioning around with the Serpent with the Stargazers and the Hexes. I do not like it that much, and we are getting here ourselves some tank options. Could definitely be considering another Stone Plate and a Protectors and a Spirit Visage perhaps. Let's see how he matches them out. Could open leave the tier open instead. We are going to be making that even Shroud. I mean, it gives us the Shred and Sunder for the early 6 seconds of the game, but I'm not sure if that was the best option to go for. We wanted to leave the tier open for the Spear of Shojin for the last item for Samira. But then we could have just went with another Stone Plate perhaps, and since we have these Hexes spread out in some way, adjusted that positioning. We are picking up a Tomkench 2, doing the trick to get the open component off. Well executed, and picking up a Jhin, and we haven't seen a Xayah. This is the part where this comp is going to be struggling into this meta, where if the Xayahs are getting pulled out, you're going to be having a lot less likely to be finding the Xayah on level 7. But we've picked up the Tomkench 2, and this guy has been stacking the HP for quite a lot, as well as hit the Samira 3, so now this is going to be quite stable if we are able to complete an item on her now. Definitely rebounding our win streak right now. Now, is this the random item offering? Yeah, this is the random item offering from the Evelyn. While for the Yasuo, I am not sure, but maybe we'll be able to decipher from the color. Able to pick up the Spear of Shojin from Pengu here. And we see there's an Ornn 3 in game as well. So well spotted that we had these high roll outs and we should be playing for them with this Tomkench 2. And now we can be chasing Maokai 3 as we are already at the 7 copies. This is the Storm Hex. Alright, so yeah, this is going to be absolutely amazing. Onto the Jhin. He does opt to complete the IE first. I am still interested to see how this will work out. Right, we do not have backups in our comp. Therefore, this is going to simply have to be raw combat power and raw power from our unit gold investment that we have to be capitalizing on. This is not a spot you would be seeing quite often, but going up against this Yi comp, just get it out in the nick of time. Our last Samira knockup, and this is why you're going to be struggling, especially if you like the knockups. Again, these comps that can burst you down, but nonetheless, they simply have a little too less power into them. And we are able to secure the win right there, which is massive, as we are definitely now going to be able to coast through to hopefully hit this Maokai 3, as long as the Ornn player is also not going for it. This is another reason why this comp might be seeing a lot less play, is simply the Ornns and Maokais could be pulled out by your MF players, and MF is definitely catching up a little bit more on the fire around also the 4 brawler version, where you're simply either rerolling or tempoing to level 8 and then rolling on level 8 as you're able to slot your board a lot nicer there with the 4 brawlers. Now would be looking for the other items for the other Samira. Able to pick up here the Spear of Shojin, now finally going to be transitioning that red buff right there, and now we would have a Kraken and Last Whisper. Maybe we're quite focused on our sorting out our Spear of Shojin that perhaps missed it, and maybe since we were so healthy and it's still quite a lot of gold, could have perhaps considered the possibility to roll a little bit deeper to find another tier. Nonetheless, keeping this red buff here onto this Jhin, since he's simply a better applier, especially if you're lacking these knockups. Going up against the Cho'Gath 3, Lissandra 3, with the, I believe the rewards from the Loot Singularity did get a little bit buff, but still, I do not believe this augment to be quite strong. But they have made it to a Kai'Sa 3, so definitely quite prominent on their side, but this Kai'Sa did not have the items invested. We can see there's having the Pandora's items there for the item augment, which is not that strong, especially on stage 4, as it's mostly paying this dividend with a one less component for both the item fixing, and generally you play this augment for the possibility to accelerate your item tempo in the earlier stages of the game. Now, since we have these Yasuo hexes, we definitely should be having a lot of power queuing into this quirky ribbon board that has made it to level 9, so definitely a prominent threat. And let's see how we fare against the top comp from the last meta. Do not have a 3-item Rambo, so that's crucial for them. And we have picked up the win, even though our tank was not on the cryo hex, so we can see that these quirky nerfs have definitely played a big part. And simply also the Maple Emblem should actually be a little bit better for the Riven now, but nonetheless, not having 3-item tank going into stage 4 is extremely weak spot to be in. Since we have this Even Shroud opted to slot in Akali, so now we have crit for both of our Samiras and also this Jhin, who absolutely loves it, but we're getting run over by this Fast 9 board. This Blitz still making a lot of work, and Sona 2 showing that she was one of the Fast 9 caps that did not get touched, and this might emerge as one of the more prominent ways to be playing into, as it's simply a little bit earlier. But we finally find our Maokai 3 and pick up a Nunu as well, and that here we are sitting at level 8 now as well. Obviously would have been very nice if we had stacked this Maokai earlier, but obviously we had to be playing for our strongest board, as this Maokai absolutely loves max HP. And now against another quirky Bastion kind of board, but it's only quirky 1. Do not think he has the power to get through our Maokai. Even despite with lack of knockups, we have the possibility now to be this two Samiras to be simply focus firing down our units right there, the position right there, and we are priming that Rust for our level 9. Going to be simply do not have that much to be fishing for. We have the Dark Star and the Vanguard from the Mordekaiser there, which is a neat identification to pick that up right there. Now against this Kai'Sa Lissandra Cho'Gath, that Kai'Sa has more damage, more mana into her now, but does not get the resets as she is stuck on this Maokai. Therefore, they are simply lacking in the combat front right there. And we can see that the 6 Darkstar front line is simply not going to be having that much. Or even they did not maybe have 6 Darkstar yet. Yeah, I believe they did not, but anyhow. Picking up a Nunu here. Now, I'm not exactly sure if that is the strongest board right now. This single star Nunu is very inconsistent in getting the stuns off, and simply having the Darkstar execute is very nice for ourselves, plus enables exactly this Rust to provide some value for ourselves. Rust getting adjusted to simply provide a flat values at all levels, and I would be looking for another item perhaps for our Jhin here, but we can just simply pick up the Declaw right here, as we are facing this Fast 9 matchup, which is one of the which is pretty much going to be our final boss right now, against this Leona 3 with the birthday reunion, probably from the Leona print. We can see that the biomatter there weighing quite strong, and this is definitely going to be very tough to beat. They are still yet to hit the Bard 2 as well, so that's going to be a lot of frontline on their front. We have opted to give up on this Rust, so he sees this to be a stronger play. That's an interesting read from what I would see. I would perhaps also consider, well, we want this Even Shroud to live quite a lot, but we have this Last Whisper, so I would perhaps look to move this Even Shroud to swap it around with the Declaw to get this last Declaw onto the Maokai himself, simply putting more power into our main tank, going up against this AP matchup, able to level now. And are we just fishing here? We're fishing for, we have the Jhin too, so okay, another TK, yeah, that's a possibility, definitely, for sure. Do not get the last second swap either. He have picked up the Blitz, that kid is also a possibility, definitely to go in right away. Not sure if the execute would be doing too much. We'll see how we fare. The Maokai is definitely quite tanky, and we are fine against the Ghost, so there is some glimpse of hope for ourselves if we're able to get there. Also, through how the hexes have worked up, we are in a position to gain good sniper value from our Samiras. Could now be considering having maybe a little more power into this Jhin. This year, we should probably also consider moving the items from the 2-star Samira onto the 2-star Jhin, the 2 tanking buff, not bridging that gap right there, and we identified that play. Now, our team Comcash did get absolutely blown up in the real fight, so this is all up to this Maokai. Thankfully, he has the stone plate, but Their tanks have made it to the backline as Bliss 2 is a menace, and they have hit to the Bard 2 as well. So I would assume that we are most likely going to be losing out this matchup. Our last Tom Kench sprint comes in, but I don't think that's going to be enough, providing a little bit of an extra gold. But we found another Tom Kench too, but again, I'm not completely sold onto this double Nunu play. Now we go for the swap here to get the Maokai to hopefully stall and let our units cast a little bit more, but we can see the single star Nunu is not doing that much, not getting his cast off right away there. And whenever Samira's going to get replaced, and we're still stuck on this Blitzcrank right there, and simply without the extra knockups, our Samira is not going to be having that much damage into her to be able to get through this board. So we are going to be giving the last hope right there, probably looking for last either damage or a tank item for our Tom Kench. Despite the optimizations I have mentioned, I'm not sure if that would have really swung the fights in either way. Could have also done the once round swap to get the... Oh, we're close on Tom Kench 3 though. Many shops coming in, but does not seem that we're going to be able to find it. Do not opt to sell the board. Find another pair of Nunu and have opted to load our damage into the single same side. Now this Tom Kench is not going to be getting that much value. Our middle does get knocked by the Blitz. One of the Nunu does go the right direction, but that is simply not enough time. This AP board has found the Elder Dragon as well, so they have absolutely reached the cap. And that might be the new way to cap out your Fast 9 boards. Nonetheless, very flexible, I would say flexible game in some way from Riri here. Identifying that we are not able to go for the standard Samira build and we simply have to capitalize on this early Tom Kench as a possibility to play for, since our Ornn tree is getting taken out. A little lucky on the shops to hit ahead of the curve, but then utilizing this tempo to finish off our unit. And even though with the subpar board, through aggressive item slams and investing in our units, we were able to secure ourselves a top 2. Would like to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a good one.